Chew! Hey guys, what's good? It's the NRL Fantasy Fanatic coming at you with round number 2, post round number 1, walking into Tuesday afternoon. You know what that means? It's Team List Tuesday. My favourite day of the week. I know it's yours, except for Thursday, of course, which was the start of the footy week. But before I say anything further, I just want to preface this entire conversation, this entire video, because the number one rule that everyone breaks, we've had a couple of months off, NRL fantasy trading, Supercoach, whatever it may be. We walk into the first week, into the second week, and the first thing everyone wants to do is rage trade. They want to rage trade every single player that underperforms. Someone who they didn't think is going to be worth their weight in the next couple of weeks for whatever reason, and they make all those trades. And I'm going to tell you that's really, really bad, because at the end of the day, guys, we have 32 total trades, as you can see. Hasn't changed. And I've already done the calculation here. How many trades, if you were to be able to trade the maximum amount of trades during the season, how many trades do you have? So we know there's 25 seasons in the 25 games of NRL, 25 rounds in the year. So 22 times 25 rounds in the year. 22 of those are non-origin rounds. So you've got 22 times 2. And then you've got to add the 3 rounds that we have 3 trades because of the origin breaks. So that's adding 9. So you've got 53 trades. That means that you need to make the most out of your team for what it is now and hold off any trades earlier in the season that you can possibly not have to execute just yet. Because otherwise, down the track, mid-season, at the end of the season, you're going to get caught out. You'll get caught out in a sense of having 1 or 0 trades. One of your guns will get injured. If I look at my team, if a Payne Haas got injured around 20 and I've got 0 trades, because that's a possibility, what do? I can't trade him out. I have absolutely nothing on the bench to cover him with, and then I'm stuck. So you need to ensure that your trades are held and ensuring that you get the most value out of them. And saying that, I'd probably say it's a 90-10 rule for the second week going into it. What I mean by that is 90% of you shouldn't make any trades and 10% of you can possibly make trades if it values your team much better. Now, the exception includes, injuries like Brandon Smith breaking his hand. If there's a reason a particular player on your roster you feel as though will be undervalued or will be going on a downward spiral for the next couple of weeks, like I think a Cody Nikamura got completely benched in place of Ash Taylor, so he won't be playing. Those mid-range, high-gun players that you think are absolutely going to go down the toilet for whatever reason, maybe, right? And I'm going to give you some real practical reasons as to why you don't want to do that. But first, let's look at my team. How did I go in week 1? What happened? Was it all good? Was it all bad? Overall, pretty happy, pretty satisfied. Chris Randall, 59 off the bat. Expected, high tackle count, low missed tackle count. That's what you want to see. Bullemor, he did get that try. His points are a little bit over than what they should have been, but let's be honest. Manly just didn't get much good ball possession and ball positioning and field positioning to be able to, prop up those second rows to get massive points. Josh Curran, absolute workhorse. We said it last week. Absolute workhorse. I think he's a genuine fantasy gun. Let's look at his ownership. 6.7%. Still, he's a pod. Now, he's a great player, 700k, very expensive. He's up there with the Haas, Fifitas, and Crichtons, just under. I just find that he's just a workhorse. He's just everywhere on the field. He's charging down tackles. He's running back and sweeping up the ball for any kicks that are through the middle when they're defending the line. He's the third man in a tackle. He's just doing it all. He just wants to be involved. Payne Haas absolutely killed it. Unfortunately, I didn't captain him. Would have been great. This week, I'm most likely going to captain him because he's playing the Bulldogs. Angus Crichton. Angus, a little bit lower than average. I already was speaking to a mate the other day who was just telling me he's considering trading him out. Why would you want to do that? Sure, he's gone down in value. Maybe he might go down a little bit next week pending his score, but he's a keeper. He's a keeper. Don't burn those trades, guys. David Fifita, 51. I was at that game. And I watched the replay the following day on the Monday just to get a bit of a picture of what I missed when when you're at the stadium you can only see so much, and when you're at the game when you're watching on TV you get a bit of a different angle, a bit of a different feel. David Fifita, it was actually really surprising. He played 80 minutes, but it didn't feel like he was on the field for 80 minutes worth of time. And that was because he found himself on the wing a lot, just chilling or capturing his breath. Now, I only picked that up because I was at the game on the sideline, so I was whenever you've got a team in your fantasy squad, they're always your focus of attention, whether they're on the ball or off the ball. And that's what I noticed. And it was a bit sketchy. It wasn't like a set play where they were waiting for him to take another hit up or having him out in the wing if they were going to do like a crash tackle play against Sam Russell or whoever it was in the wing at the time when they made the change of Walker Blake. Wasn't anything like that. He was just catching his breath back. So I don't think I'll be captaining him again. Sorry, just extremely excited this week. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. I don't think I'm going to give him the captain label again this week, but he's definitely a hold. Mann killed it. Went off for a HIA assessment. Could have got 50 if he didn't go off. He looks the goods. It doesn't look like his position's in any threat. I think he's going to remain at lock, possibly for 80 minutes coming this week. Schneider played absolutely awesome. He did everything we wanted him to do. He went to the goal kicking. He took the goal kicking responsibilities, which was great to see. He got 44. Unfortunately, he's caught COVID. I'm going to have to manage that. We'll get to that very shortly. Euan Aitken and Jack Bird. Euan Aitken, mate, as we said, replacing our centers with solid second rollers. Great strategy. I think a lot of people out there will be doing it. Jack Bird's score is a little bit... Wish it was higher. He got 47 with a try. It could have been higher, would have been nice. I'm not really scared. He's not a trade out or anything like that. He played the full 80 minutes. It's going to be part and parcel. There were a few people, there were a few centers that did absolutely amazing. So Stephen Crichton, Tego, could have had them in, didn't. I'm going to rest on my morals. I don't want to be making a trade for them. Not that I can. We'll get to that in a second. Before I do, Papenhuyzen, okay. Hammer, 52. If he got that try in the last minute that was disallowed, he would have got over 60 easily with that line break as well. James Tedesco, 32. Now, it's going to happen, guys. And that's the scariest part. If you're going to captain any fullback, it's always super sketchy in fantasy. The way the points are made, you need those base stats, which primarily comes from tackles, being in the middle, your Payne Haases, your Currans, your second rollers, your front rollers. Fullbacks, quiet game for Tedesco. There wasn't much happening for them. They played poorly. They didn't score much. They lost to the Knights. They were favourite, and that's going to happen. So he's definitely not a trade out. Wouldn't recommend it. People out there may want to do that, but I'm going to advise you not to do that for any player that you think is just undervalued for 1 week. Amone just didn't get involved. Just wasn't there. He's definitely a hold. Lachlan, same story. That's going to happen with your halves, guys. Things aren't just going to happen. Tuilagi did everything we wanted him to do. Looked amazing at the half time. I think he was on 30, 32 points. Only got 6-8 points in the second half. Either way, it's a hold. He's playing above his weighted average. Billy Walters, 55. Hey, great. We put that down last week as we should probably play him because, look, he can get over 35 and into the 50s and 60s when he does start. Makes a lot of tackles, wanted to do a lot of hit-ups. The way he runs the ball as well, it's like James Tedesco from 3 years ago, where he runs up to the line and he does those little fends where he just pushes off his feet, and they're not actually fending off a player. They're more like a wrist slap. You still get the tackle bust for that. I don't know why, but it still counts, so we'll take it. So Billy Walters will be good for that. Coming up, Maxi King. He benefited from Pengai Jr. not playing last minute and the HIAs. And the fact that the Cowboys just had the ball when Max King was on the field. He made a tremendous amount of tackles, a ridiculous amount of tackles, well beyond the normal realm of what you would have thought. But he's there, 56, well-deserved. Schiller, he moved to the wing last minute. Actually, I don't even think the team list had him down as the wing. I think they just changed them around when they walked into the field. Leah Thompson, 15. Could have got higher, to be honest. Could have got a lot higher. He looked good, though. I liked what he was doing on the field. He wanted the ball. He took up a couple of hit-ups. There was a mistake or two in there. I think there's room to grow. I'm not concerned. We got him at the basement price of 220. You can't go below basement price in fantasy. Koula, biggest disappointment. Huge disappointment, but it doesn't matter. He's an emergency Could we have had other players? Maybe. Not with the current roster. I would have had to have shifted too many things around to make that happen. But it's not all bad. I'm going to get to rule number 2 very shortly. But Koula played 8 minutes. I don't know why. I thought they would have brought him on a lot earlier. They were down. The game was over by like the 60-minute mark. I don't know why they didn't bring him on, blood him into the sport, give him a proper debut. But it is what it is. And it looks like Dylan Walker's back. Going by the team list, guys, if we start from the top, what are the biggest adjustments that we have? Brandon Smith's out. That's probably really good for Joshy King. Joshy King, you could possibly bring him in. Maybe not, depending on your appetite for risk versus reward. Spencer Linu comes in at the 8 for Moses Leota for 8 weeks. The reality is, guys, he scored 19 last week, Linu. And there's going to be a lot of people like, whoa, he's starting, he's going to go up, he's going to take Leota's points. And not necessarily. I think I was just pulling up his points just before. And the problem with Lino is he's a high points per minute player, but he just doesn't get the minutes. Even when he started prop during Origin, he was brought off the field relatively early. He's got a couple of missed tackles in him from time to time. For me personally, if I'm going to jump on Lino, it's not this week, it's potentially next week, seeing how he fares in that prop position. There's not going to be that much upside. His break-even is 25, so even if he got a 40, it might go up by maybe 8 grand, maybe 10 grand. There's no point rushing to bring Lino in this situation. What else we got? There's a few more other things. Dylan Walker's back. Looks like his glute wasn't as bad as we first thought, which is unfortunate. But we're gonna see a silver lining with Koula. If you have him in your squad, we're gonna be able to do the loop, the emergency loop, and bring him in, bring that into play. So it's not all bad. I'm not overly worried about it. What are people doing with Connor Watson, given that their bench rotation's a little bit out? I think you've got to hold him. I don't think it's worth bringing in. I'm not making any trades myself. What were the changes in the middle? Billy Smith still remains there. Ash Taylor comes in for the Warriors, which is pretty big news because Cody Nikorima is Gornsky. Now, I don't think there would have been that many people with Cody, but it does suck if you did hold him. I wouldn't have thought that would have happened with Taylor going out. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest. I don't know how Ash Taylor's going to fit in that squad, but maybe he'll make it work. Maybe he won't. We'll see how that plays out. Going down to the Sharkies, we've got, I think Smith moved off the squad, and who came in for him? Sorry, that's the Titans game. I'm looking at the Sharkies. What am I talking about? Went close after COVID kept him away. Yeah, so the coach is coming back after a COVID issue. Eels line up, back line. Walker Blake is outside Penasini. That's not all bad news if you're a Penasini coach, because Walker Blake does find the try line, and maybe outside Penasini will be more likely. It is a little bit concerning if you're an Eels fan, though, like myself, because the backline looked very suspect against the Titans, letting in tries all down that left edge. Absolutely terrible. Raiders, we've got Tom Starling coming in to start for hooker. He may be someone... Look, if you're desperate for a hooker, he may be someone you can bring in. Because I was looking at the stats before, and his stats, when he starts at hooker... Insane. He's actually quite a high scorer. Now, the only downside is Adrian Trevolin, if I pronounce that correctly, is named on the bench. He is a hooker as well. Ricky loves to rotate hookers. He did that all last year with Hodgson and Havili, so maybe probably won't get all the minutes. But even when he plays big minutes at starting, 70, 50, 70, look at those scores. There's no bad news in there. His break-even's 25 points. Like... If you're taking out Brandon Smith, I think Starling might be the way to go if you can afford that. In my opinion, unless you're going for another cheapie. But Tom Starling is someone who is going to be absolutely blistering. We know he's a very, very intense hooker. He does a lot of running, does a lot of good balls. He's just a tackling machine. He doesn't miss for the size that he is. So. Maybe he's someone, if you've got an injury like a Brandon Smith, that'd probably be my first bet to look at Starling. It's also going to depend how long Hodgson's going to be out. It does say here that he's expected to miss a month. Now, one thing that may happen is that if Starling absolutely goes balls to the wall in this month of Hodgson's absence, he might hold the spot. You know, that's always a big concern, is that when you're off for a little bit. Schneider's in the same boat. Schneider comes off, and Frawley comes in. Now, Frawley's played 6 games? I think it was down here for. That's not a lot of footy across his career. I don't expect Frawley to hold the spot when Schneider comes back. Maybe Schneider won't even hold the spot when Jamal Fogarty eventually returns, however long that may be from his ACL injury. But Schneider's definitely a hold. He's got huge upside. There's no reason to be moving him out just yet. And if we go further down the page, Tuilagi held his spot. Mann's still there, which is great news for us. I like the fact that he's holding that spot. It looks like it's going to be full-time as well. And that's really all the big moves around, except for Albert Kelly coming in for the 6. Billy Walters dropping to the bench, one of our biggest nightmares. Max King remains at 16, despite playing an absolute ripper of a game. But again, as we mentioned last week, you know, it just takes one injury to one of these players, and he could find himself in that starting spot. He definitely appears to have the fitness for it compared to some of his teammates. But I'm really excited for that one. I just want to go find the Titans, because I think I just missed that in my escapade. So Will Smith drops off. Brimson's back. I don't think that's going to impact many teams out there. But what does this mean for me? And how am I going to make the most of the situation? Well, first of all, I've got to substitute Schneider out. Amone comes in. It could have been Lachlan Ilias. It doesn't really matter. Billy Walters drops off on the interchange. What are we going to do with him? Well, first of all, we're going to move Max King up to Schneider. And now we've got a little bit of a concern. All of our emergency players are very suspect. Koala's not back. Schneider's not playing. And Schiller and Thompson are also players that may not score amazing. In saying that, what we can do, and we can take advantage of, and if you have Koala or Schneider in your team and you're not looking to make any trades, what you can do is, in this situation, if I put Schneider into this position, that means Billy Walters, my first emergencies points, are going to be counted. Now, what you'd want to do is, if you can evaluate a point-scoring player before that game kicks off, you can take advantage of that fact. For me, what that would look like, I don't have many players I can take advantage of that because of the players, the teams that my players play for. But for example, if I bring Lachlan Ilias down to my emergency, now he scored 20. I don't know how well he's going to do. He's up against the Storm. Storm might not give him many opportunities. Who knows? He plays first. So this is the only player that's going to have a score for my first game on Thursday night. If Lachlan Ilias scores 60 points and my team currently looks like this, all I have to do is move up Schneider or Koala into that 4th interchange slot, and then my emergency player points are going to count. If Ilias does not score well, or I believe that either Thompson or Schiller is going to get a higher score, all I have to do is rotate Schiller back into the squad and move Schneider out. So, while you may have some downsides with players being out, there's always a silver lining. So, that would be probably the biggest tip for this week, is that there's going to be a few of you out there who have Schneider. In fact, there's 33%, so 1 in 3 teams. Koala, 1 in 3 teams again, who can take advantage of this situation. Now, you may be limited given your bench. You know, Billy Walters, look, last week, the interchange utility player played minimal minutes, 8 minutes. Turpin played at hooker for 72. He got a spill at the end. I don't know what's going to happen. There could be an injury very early in the game, and Walters all of a sudden becomes the go-to man. So my squad if I was to look at this quite thoroughly, would probably look like this. If I can take advantage of the Brisbane scoring situation, and if I move them around, if I can make this work, I could possibly do the loop depending upon who I'm comfortable with playing. But at the moment, I'm okay with my squad, and the reality is I've got 17 grand. I know a few of you out there will be like, "Oh, but Koula, I wanna trade him out." I can't make a trade for him. There's only 5 players that I can trade to directly, which is Moroa and a few of the lower scoring players. It's not worth it for me. I don't want to be burning trades to bring in another rookie, which I'm completely unsure about. The only way I can really make a trade that's satisfying is that if one of my key players gets injured and I have to trade him down to another cash cow, and then I can trade up Koula to another player, for example, like a Josh King, who looks to be playing more minutes and starting at lock purely because Brandon Smith's out, and Brandon Smith is going to be directly substituted with Harry Grant. So that's one way to look at it. The problem I think most people are going to have is that they want to chase every cash cow. You're not going to get every cash cow. Tago's probably one of the best cash cows at the moment. Crichton potentially as well. Again, it goes against all my philosophy about playing centers. I don't like to do that generally. If you have to, make it happen. If you're confident they're going to absolutely kill it like they did in round 1, go for it. But you shouldn't be jumping around to jump on every cash cow. Every week, there's going to be more people out. COVID impacts, injury impacts, new players starting. You just don't know. You're going to have to take advantage of those situations as they arise. But for me, making a trade now just to kind of fill in those locks. There's no one who I want to bring down. There's no player here. If I was to look at the worst dollar value at the moment, it'd be Tedesco. I don't want to trade out Tedesco. I want to hold. I want to remain true to my philosophy. Hold that spot. Keep him there. Play it. Just suck up the fact that I'm going to have to play a couple of nuffies in my interchange. It happens, guys. Everyone's not going to have the best team. But that's pretty much my sentiment for now. I don't think that you should be using 2 trades in the first week, because it goes, you put your team together in the first week for a reason, and you should probably remain true to that reason, barring, that 10% rule of injuries and whatever else has happened in your squad. But yeah, just try to keep it lean, guys. Take advantage of the fact that if you've got Schneider or Koula, if you can loop them in pending what players you have, and if it works, make it work. If not, it's unfortunate. You'll have to play with your raw 17, which is not always a bad thing to happen. It's just, for me, I'm going to have to take advantage of it one way or another just because of the players and the situation I've got. Schneider being out really hurt me. I didn't see that happening, but it is what it is. Totally happy Schiller's holding his spot. Looks to be moved to the wing. He might even score higher, given that this week they're playing against the Cowboys. Before I do end the video, I just want to... The first thing I always want to do... the last thing I always want to do, is compare myself... the number 1 ranked player, how far is he ahead of us? He's 140 points, 138 points ahead of us. It's not that many points, 142 points ahead of us. It's not that many. I'm not overly concerned. He's done everything right. This is the golden goose, right? He brought in Hines. Hines played out of his mind. Crichton did, as did Tago. Burton was a good centre choice, even though, you may have expected more. Cherry Evans, Mann, Aitken, Capewell. When everything goes right, this could be you. So, the thing that you want to avoid... And, look at this. Pengai Jr. got out last minute, so he substituted in Max King as a result, because that's the only players he would have been able to change. And Max King killed it, 56. This guy has absolutely killed it, except for, Lachlan, but that's not really a material impact to the remaining part of the competition because 40% of us own him, so it is what it is. He also had Nene, who I was a little bit 50-50 on, given the missed tackles. You never know what's going to happen with that Cowboys bench. It's a bit of a merry-go-round. But yeah, guys, look, the main thing you want to take out of this video at the end, don't go chasing trades. Just absorb the fact that your team didn't do as well. If your team's absolutely killing it, move on, move forward. I'm ranked 8,644. It's not a bad start. There's 144,000 teams out there. Fantasy's definitely grown the last couple of years since we were doing vids. But yeah, just hold your squad. Remain true. If you really make a trade, really justify it. Don't just be making trades. Don't be making sideways trades. Don't downgrade players that you think are going to be doing a good job unless you've got a really, really good reason to do it. But that will probably wrap up my video for now. I've really enjoyed it. Let me know down below. Give me a like, a subscribe. Let me know, do you prefer these rendered videos that I upload afterwards, or do you prefer the live video approach? I'm not really sure. There's pros and cons to both, but I'm keen to hear what you guys want to see and hear. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Hopefully your team kills it in round 2. And yeah, boys, again, just don't make those trades. Remain true. Whoosh.